Hi, today I would like to discuss 5 different technology integration frameworks. These frameworks help educators evaluate themselves and guide them to successfully integrate technology into their classroom. The first framework I would like to discuss is the TIP, or Technology Integration Planning. TIP was created by Rob Lear in 2006. I included a picture of the framework here. I will discuss it more in depth while explaining its purpose. It was created to assist teachers plan and integrate technology in teaching and learning. There are 5 phases to help plan and evaluate instruction, and each phase is accompanied by a checklist of questions to ensure effective use. The first phase says to determine relative advantage. Some questions you may ask yourself are, what is the advantage of the technology? Will I benefit from using technology in this lesson? Phase 2 is objectives and assessments. You should determine your objectives and decide what outcomes will result from using your chosen method. Will you be able to assess? Phase 3 is design integration strategies. Consider instruction methods. How does technology play a role in this? Phase 4 is instructional environment. Think about adequate software to prepare the intended learning environment. What teaching strategies and activities will work best? The final phase, phase 5, is evaluation and revision. Was technology integration supported? Were objectives achieved? What can I change? Student feedback is very valuable at this phase. Overall, this model helps teachers set, evaluate, and achieve their goals. When using TIP, when you are creating a lesson or even after the lesson has already concluded, you can use TIP steps to assess how well your lesson plan worked. Use the 5 steps as your map to guiding a successful lesson. The phases allow you to make sure you have the proper technology, you have a plan to implement it, you are sure the lesson aligns with objectives, and you will know how to assess. Overall, this model helps you to be prepared. And the final stage has a purpose of allowing you to evaluate how well or how poor the lesson was. The next model is the SAR model. It was created by Dr. Ruben Fuentura. I'm not really sure if I pronounced that correctly. But this model contains 4 phases. As you can see, SAMR are the first letters for each phase. The first phase is substitution. This means it is the same task, but new technology replaces the old. The second stage is substitution. This means it is still the same task, but the technology increases functionality. The third phase is modification. This allows you to redesign parts of the task. The final stage is redefinition. Redefinition creates new tasks that were once unimaginable. These steps move from enhancing and transforming student learning through substitution to redefinition. The purpose of the SAMR model, is to help guide the reflection process on how we integrate technology into the classroom. It's designed to help educators correctly incorporate technology into teaching and learning. This model can assist instructors determine the level of technology integration needed in the learning environment. First, the instructor must decide to integrate technology into the curriculum. Then this model allows the instructor to use technology to enhance or transform student learning. I provided an example of how to use the SAMR model. Instead of students just completing a paper by pencil and paper, you can use the first step to substitute those materials with a word processor. Augmentation allows you to use the word processor with text-to-speech function to improve the writing process. Students can then modify their documents by sharing them on Google Docs for feedback by you or students. Now the students have experienced a redefined lesson. Instead of a normal handwritten paper, students have shared their thoughts through multimedia tools. The third model is LOTI, short for Levels of Teaching Innovation. I provided a picture of it here to see the scales, but it's a little hard to see. It ranges from level 0 all the way until level 6. It was first designed in 1994 by Dr. Chris Morsch, with the intentions of assessing authentic technology integration in the classroom. The framework has evolved over time to focus on technology that relates to 21st century learning, specifically the promotion of higher order thinking, student-centered learning, and authentic assessment. Teachers can use this model for self-directed analysis of their level of technology integration into the classroom. Lodi has scales, like I have already stated, ranging from 0 to 6. Teachers can use these to reflect their practices and assess or make additions to their current level of integration. The fourth model is the TIM, short for the Technology Integration Matrix. I included a picture of the matrix here, and I will discuss it more in depth. TIM was developed by the Florida Center for Instructional Technology, and this matrix contains 25 total cells. It is composed of 5 interdependent characteristics of learning environments, which are active, collaborative, constructive, authentic, and goal-directed. These 5 learning environments are associated with 5 levels of technology integration, starting with entry to adoption, adaptation, infusion, and transformation. TIM provides a framework with descriptions and targets for the use of technology to enhance student learning. One thing I liked about the TIM is in all the 25 cells, they contain explanations of each category, as well as a lesson plan for educators to follow as an example. Teachers can use TIM's 25 cells to gauge what type of learning environment they are trying to create. Follow the progression of the matrix to reach the most efficient level of technology integration in your classroom. And like I've stated, I really think it's neat that they provided examples of lesson plans. Finally, the fifth model is the TPACK framework. TPACK is short for the full name, Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. It is composed of 3 main forms of knowledge, as we can see here on our model: technological, pedagogical, and content. Think of content as the what. Content is the subject or area you are teaching. Pedagogical knowledge is the how. How are you going to present the content? What strategies will you use? Technological is the partner. This is where you select the technology that best pairs with instruction and best supports the selected pedagogy. But as you can see, our 3 main knowledge areas overlap, creating 4 other knowledge forms. TP knowledge allows us to understand how to make content more accessible. TC knowledge allows us to identify the importance of pairing the appropriate technology to the content. Our PC knowledge allows us to identify the importance of pairing the appropriate pedagogical strategy with the content. The middle is what I like to call the sweet spot. This is where all 3 knowledge forms work together. But overall, this framework looks at how these forms of knowledge work together to increase student motivation and to make the content more accessible to students. This conceptual framework was created in 2006 by Mishra and Kohler. Altogether, there are 7 forms of knowledge that we have discussed, and it is best for all to come together. This framework supports that technology selected in classrooms must have a strong curriculum fit and meet the pedagogical needs for implementation of the tool. I found this chart to show 5 steps to lesson planning using TPACK. TPACK allows teachers to first choose the learning outcomes they will be working towards during their class session. The learning outcomes are also known as the content. The second step is choosing an activity type. The activity type is the pedagogy, or how you are going to teach the students and allow them to learn the content. Finally, we can choose technologies that will support the activity type and aid the students in learning. This has been my presentation on technology integration frameworks. I hope you enjoyed it.